Fine, thank you. And you? How are you?
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining
Thank you
us.
for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So,
So,
I think it's
I
time
think
to
it's
start.
time to start.
We'll start with
We'll
a
start.
invocation for peace. Pushkar?
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
So, I'd like to start with a warm welcome to our honored guest from Bangladesh. His Excellency, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Shahriar Alam,
Shahriar Alam.
Muhammad Shahriar Alam. I would also like to welcome our guests who are here to listen to him. And this is the platform, the Vimarsh platform of the Vivekananda International Foundation. And eminent personalities from within the country and outside regularly interact with the public. And we are very happy that the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Muhammad Shahriar Alamji, with us today. I want to thank him for having accepted our invitation and finding time to interact with us. He will be speaking to us on India-Bangladesh relations, opportunities and prospects. I'd like to introduce the speaker briefly. Mr. Muhammad Shahriar Alam has thrice been elected as a member of the National Parliament in 2008, 2014 and 2018 from the Rajshahi 6 constituency with the highest victory margins. He was first sworn in as the State Minister for Foreign Affairs on 12th January 2014 and again reappointed on 7th January 2019. As the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Alam has been actively representing the government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh in various international fora, including the International Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, meetings of the UN Human Rights Commission and Convention Against Torture, and the Third Universal Periodic Review. Besides political career, Mr. Alam has also achieved enviable fame as a prominent entrepreneur. His companies have now been exporting textile products worldwide. His outstanding entrepreneurial success was awarded with the National Export Trophy in knitwear category in 2007 and 8. To fulfill his corporate social responsibility, Mr. Alam trains disabled people with the assistance from Center for Rehabilitation of the Paralyzed and employs the highest number of physically challenged individuals. This led to the conferment of CSR award from global buyers on him. In pursuit of poverty-free Bangladesh, he established the North Bengal Development Forum to adopt a different development agenda of the region and has undertaken many such pro-people initiatives. So welcome to Mr. Alam, who is, as you can see, a man of many parts. Friends, it will not be exaggeration to say that India-Bangladesh relations are passing through their golden phase. In the last decade or so, our relationship has diversified and become strategic. Many outstanding issues have been resolved Both countries have settled their land borders and fixed their maritime boundaries. Connectivity is at the heart of India's neighborhood first policy. Efforts are being made to restore connectivity between India and Bangladesh to the pre-partition levels. To give you a recent example, the first trial container ship started from Kolkata on 16 July 2020 when the COVID was raging. It reached Chittagong port and traveled by a road on Bangladeshi trucks to Agartala. Another example, the first cross-border train carrying 50 containers with consumer goods and fabrics was launched recently. Bangladesh also received 10 broad-gauge diesel locomotives from India in this period. There are many other examples of connectivity. This would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Trade and economic relations between the two countries are going strongly. Bangladesh is India's biggest trade partner in South Asia. And the bilateral trade between India and Bangladesh has crossed $10 billion. The two countries are also cooperating in the field of health. They are also cooperating in the management of borders. People-to-people contacts are becoming stronger. Last year, India and Bangladesh held joint naval exercises in the Bay of Bengal. This is a welcome sign of growing defense cooperation between the two countries. And we understand that this year, a contingent of troops from Bangladesh will be participating in the Republic Day parade. Bangladesh has made tremendous socio-economic progress in the last few days. The improvement in social indicators registered in Bangladesh is the envy of the developing world. India is now the fifth largest economy in the world. The Prime Minister has set a target of making India a $5 trillion economy by 2025. India has also made significant progress in digitalization, and there is an aspiration of achieving a $1 trillion digital economy by 2025. India is also emerging as the pharmacy of the world. A few days ago, it launched the world's largest COVID vaccination program ever. India has announced sharing of India-made vaccines with the neighboring countries, including Bangladesh. Sharing and caring among neighbors at the time of need is very much the ethos of the two countries and people. India's rise as a responsible, non-expansionist, non-aggressive, and benign power is appreciated and has had a global and regional impact. Positive trends notwithstanding, there is a further scope for deepening a bilateral relationship to mutual benefit. Friends, the geopolitical global landscape is changing rapidly. The rise of China, its assertiveness, and the wolf warrior diplomacy has caused widespread misgivings. The concept of Indo-Pacific has assumed great salience. India has been wary of Chinese programs like the Belt and Road Initiative, which hide geopolitical ambitions and debt traps. Unfortunately, SAARC has made little progress. Prime Minister Modi tried to revive SAARC during the COVID times. That is still not shown much progress. Both countries are working in BIMSTREC and BBIN formats. So we can say that India and Bangladesh are a positive force for regional integration. I feel that India and Bangladesh should have a regular strategic dialogue at official and non-official levels, covering global and regional developments. It will be our privilege to listen to our honored guests on how he sees the prospects of India-Bangladesh relations. I now request His Excellency Muhammad Shahriar Alam kindly make his remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Arvind Gupta, Chair of the session, distinguished guests present and connected here, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, and very good afternoon from Dhaka. I fondly recall a couple of years ago when I had the opportunity to host some of you present here today, the delegation, led by a very senior member of the Vivekananda Foundation. If you could recall, I'm actually speaking from the same conference room of our fifth floor at Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where we hosted you, and we had a frank discussions a couple of years ago. I thank the Vivekananda Foundation for organizing today's event, and I'm pleased to speak on the occasion, and also look forward to hearing from the other participants on Bangladesh-India relations, challenges and opportunities at the same time. The scope of the topic is very vast, as it refers to a relationship that is multifaceted, multidimensional, and ever evolving. We are geographically contiguous, share common rivers, ecosystems, forests, and seas even. This backdrop makes me confident that we will have vibrant exchange of ideas in the course of our discussion today. Not only from me, but from you lot as well. Bangladesh-India friendship rooted in history and tradition has passed the test of time and is marked by mutual respect, trust, and understanding. The relationship has its genesis in our War of Liberation in 1971. Many of you were actively involved during those days. The architect of which was our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. At the outset, on this auspicious yet of celebration of the birth centenary of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and celebration of our golden jubilee of the independence of Bangladesh, I pay my deepest homage to Bangabandhu, who led us to freedom and independence. I also pay my homage to our valiant freedom fighters who laid down their lives for the cause of our independence, and the 2 lakh women who were raped and tortured by the Pakistan forces and their associates. I also recall with deep gratitude the contribution of the government of India for standing firmly on our side during our most difficult time. Many valiant Indian soldiers laid down their lives for the cause of our liberation. They are Bangladesh's friend forever, and we will not forget their sacrifices. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in 2012 and 13, Bangladesh first started the long overdue task of honoring foreign friends who had contributed to our liberation war efforts. This was followed in 2017 as well, with the important task of honoring the member of the Indian Army who embraced martyrdom during the 1971 war with Bangladesh Liberation War honor, and the work is still continuing. Our shared commitment to peace, security, development have helped us forge partnership in the regional and multilateral fora that brings our two nations even closer in this age of global challenges and opportunities. During the last decade, our government has taken bold steps towards strengthening our relations in depth and dimension. We have attained tangible results in many areas, such as land boundary and maritime boundary demarcation, security, connectivity, development cooperation, cultural exchange, power and energy, trade and commerce, telecommunication and ICT, blue economy, defense, and so on. The visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Dhaka in June 2015 and that of our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to New Delhi in April 2017 and October 2019, and I had the privilege to accompanying them or present during all of these meetings. These were two landmark events that took our bilateral relations to a historic new height. As Dr. Gupta mentioned at his opening remarks. Most recently, on 17 December 2020, both leaders held a virtual summit where they discussed important issues of bilateral significance, including the possibility of expanding cooperation into new areas such as artificial intelligence, outer space, and renewable energy. We have more than 90 instruments of bilateral cooperation existing between both countries, and new ones are being discussed as we speak. Clearly, Bangladesh-India relations have now evolved into a mature one, with each side looking forward with confidence and trust. Despite profound geopolitical challenges and changes in the international arena in recent times, the two countries have been able to strengthen and consolidate the ties based on the principles of mutual benefit and a shared future. Today, as you have mentioned, Dr. Gupta mentioned, today Bangladesh is globally recognized as a role model for socio-economic development. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the government of Bangladesh adopted bold and forward-looking development strategies which have yielded rapid inclusive economic growth, structural transformation, and remarkable social progress. In March 2018, for the first time, Bangladesh fulfilled all criteria for graduation to a middle-income country. We're looking forward to its reconfirmation on 18 February this year and formally graduate into a middle-income country economy. It is highly encouraging that Bangladesh has been maintaining high growth rate throughout the last decade. As we strive for more, our next commitment is to achieve the SDGs by 2030 and to become a developed country by 2041, as envisaged in our Vision 2041. We are confident that India will continue to be our trusted partner in our onward journey towards development and progress, and to transform Bangladesh into Bangla, as dreamt by our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. We're happy that our largest neighbor and trusted friend, India, is fast emerging as a global economic power. Despite the impact of COVID-19, India is being projected to become the world's third largest economy over the next decade. Given the increased digitization of the economy and the wide-ranging reforms undertaken by the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Bangladesh is also being projected to grow to be the 26th largest economy within next 12 to 14 years. The second largest economy in South Asia, obviously, after India. A strong and vibrant India offers Bangladesh with immense opportunities. To harness the opportunities, we need to combine our synergies, particularly in the areas of trade and investment, which will bring mutual benefits for both the countries as well as for the region. The volume of trade between the two countries is over $10 billion US. The balance of trade, however, is still largely in favor of India, which needs to be taken care of with due diligence. Bangladesh has offered special economic zone for Indian investors. Substantial investment from Indian investors in these Indian economic zone in Bangladesh should help broaden our export base and create employment opportunities for Bangladeshis and Indians as well at the same time. Bangladesh is the second biggest market in our South Asian region after India. We would love to see trade and investment coming together, whereby large Indian investors can set up big industries in Bangladesh to capture the domestic markets. And many Indian companies are already doing it for quite a few number of years. So these markets in both Bangladesh and India and also Southeast Asian countries. Bangladesh and India have enormous opportunities to grow together. We offer opportunities for Indian experts, workers, estimated to be almost 200,000 of the Indian experts and workers working in Bangladesh and regularly, earning remittances for India. And the estimate is they're earning about $4 billion US of foreign currency from Bangladesh. Moreover, I think that was in 2019-20, just before the pandemic. 2.2 million Bangladeshis are going to India every year for different purposes, tourism, business, medical, and this also yields an opportunity for India to increase their revenue basket. Indeed, Bangladesh is situated in a most advantageous location where it can act as a hub of connectivity, not only between central India and northeastern states of India, but also between South and Southeast Asia. And that's why a platform like BIMSTEC is of common interest. We have undertaken massive infrastructural development projects like Padma Multipurpose Bridge, and you know the story and the history behind that particular bridge that is in near completion, and the Rupur nuclear power plant, which will significantly transform the future of the country. So you can see Bangladesh offers a huge opportunity to the investors who are ready to invest in a large scale. Distinguished guests, since the onset of COVID-19, the world has witnessed an economic slowdown, disruption of livelihoods, and extreme hardship for millions. Bangladesh appreciates the cooperation extended by the government of India for vaccine, medicines, and protective equipment provided to contain the pandemic. And we are grateful to the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Incidentally, this morning, myself, my senior colleague at the ministry, Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, and our other colleague, Minister of Health and Family Planning, we formally received the first lot of vaccine, and out of whatever quantity we have contracted with Serum Institute to buy, India donated 2 million doses of COVAX, and as I said, incidentally, coincided this with today's discussion. We just received that through a simple ceremony earlier on this morning. In our part, we facilitated urgent evacuation of Indian nationals working and studying in Bangladesh back to India during the COVID months, and we have received the same or similar cooperation from India, where Bangladeshis were stuck at different locations during those difficult weeks of April and May last year. COVID-19 has demonstrated not only our linkages and interdependence, but also our fragility. Unity and solidarity must be our leading principles in these challenging times. It demands decisive, concerted, and innovative actions by all. We also have signed a contract to buy more from Serum Institute. Our private companies are in agreement with them as well. And this is how we in Bangladesh feel that the countries in South Asia need to collaborate regionally. And this is a brilliant example that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government is not only providing vaccines to Bangladesh, but to all South Asian neighbors eventually. We're looking forward to also welcoming Prime Minister Modi to Dhaka in March this year to grace program marking the birth centenary of our Father of the Nation and the commencement of the Golden Jubilee 50th anniversary celebration of Bangladesh's independence, as well as establishment of our diplomatic relationship between Bangladesh and India. To celebrate this important landmark with due honor, a number of programs are being jointly planned to be held in different cities of Bangladesh and also in India and in select capitals of the world, including showcasing the remarkable Bangabandhu Bapu Digital Museum. Bangladesh and India are witnessing the golden chapter, as Dr. Gupta aptly mentioned at the opening. The golden chapter of bilateral relation in our engagements amplify a role model of good neighborly relations There is no alternative to people's community in any bilateral relations. We are fortunate that emotional bonds and people-to-people contacts between our two countries is an integral part of our relationship. We need to nurture and leverage this as a catalyst to further enhance our bilateral ties. We must focus on the priority areas for strengthening cooperation between India and Bangladesh, such as border security and management, win-win business partnership, boosting connectivity on land, on the water, and in the skies, harnessing defense cooperation, consolidating development cooperation, increased investment, cross-border energy cooperation, harness new ideas such as blue economy, environment and disaster management, coastal and inland shipping, cultural cooperation through celebration of Mujib year 2020 and 50 years of Bangladesh War of Liberation. So there are so many such areas. Moreover, we must work together to resolve the pending issues, including sharing of the waters of common rivers, resolution of the continental shelf issue in the Bay of Bengal, bringing down border incidents to zero, managing the media. These are to name a few. I'm sure that you will all agree that resolving and managing one irritant carries 10 times the weight of the optics of symbolic assertion of friendship and good neighborliness. In conclusion, I would say that the political leadership of both countries are committed to ensure that the right kind of enabling environment is created for the work needed to ensure mutual benefits of our people, economies, and societies, and to make our countries and the region as a whole more prosperous and developed. I thank you for your patience hearing, and I look forward to listening to other participants, and would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you. Joy Bangla.
Thank you, Minister, for your speech, and you have given us some idea of the current state of the India-Bangladesh relations and what we can expect in future. And I was quite struck by the very positive note in your speech. I think there is a great scope for further improvement of our relations, and you have identified several new areas where I think our relationship can proceed. In this audience, we have long-time watchers of India-Bangladesh relations. As you said, some of our veterans who participated in the war are also here. I'm sure they would have a lot to say on India-Bangladesh relations. So now I open the floor for discussions, and I'm going to the chat box. Let me see what we have there. We have Major General Ramesh Chopra, and he has a question in the context of the entire. What do you see as the future chances of improvement in the entire region? He's referring specifically to BBIN and BIMSTEC. So the question is about regional integration and improvement in the South Asian region as a whole. Yes, Minister, would you like to take that?
Yes, thank you. Thank you to General Ramesh Chopra. Obviously, we are proud that Bangladesh is hosting the Secretariat of BIMSTEC, and as you rightly mentioned, and we have seen physical effort being made by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the past to give some impetus to SARC to operate. But unfortunately, SARC is failing to live up to the expectation, even during the last summit in Nepal, when the leaders, whatever achievements they made after rigorous negotiation and all that, that we will be signing to a very key instrument among the SARC member states, 8 countries, 7 plus. Obviously, Afghanistan was the last one to enter. But unfortunately, SARC failed to deliver. And obviously, BIMSTEC was seen, I wouldn't say, as a replacement of SARC, but obviously it connects our region with ASEAN countries. And we now heavily banking on BIMSTEC, and we had the immediate past Secretary General of BIMSTEC, one of our ambassador who has been transferred and appointed as the ambassador to the United States of America for Bangladesh. And we were, taking an update from him before he left. And we are making progress in that front. But, I always think that we could do more, especially under SARC, how these regional trade blocks are coming up. It's not just the EU or what was initiated by President Obama and then scrapped by President Trump for North American countries that include some Asian countries as well. But in recent times, we have seen another trade bloc came into being. But, we initiated SAFTA 3 decades ago, I think. But we never delivered. But under the BIMSTEC platform, or on the BIMSTEC platform, I thought, the BIMSTEC FTA was proposed, and some countries are yet to come up with the, I think in case of other countries, we call it negative list, but this is a positive list of positive product. I mean, there's a technical term to it, to disclose some tariff policies and numbers. And, we need to conclude that. And if, it's the writing is on the wall. I mean, India is becoming the 3rd largest economy of the world within next 1 decade. Bangladesh is going to become the 26th largest economy in next 12 years or 13 years. And I'm sure our other neighbors are going to grow as well. Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and we are aware of the supports that you are extending to these countries. And we need to revisit and so that our bureaucracies and our businesses comes together, and we introduce that that SAFTA model of trade blocks or EU model of trade blocks for our region. And the interdependency is so huge. I know the commitment of Prime Minister Modi's government for the Northeast, and needless to mention the contribution of Bangladesh to establish peace in those very rough terrains of those northeastern borders. But your businesses and manufacturers and service providers opts for Bangladesh to, or use Bangladesh as a launching pad, kind of to deliver, to produce the product and services that they consume, or they might consume, or they will be consuming in coming days. So it's very important that even if we I don't want to I wouldn't say fail to come up with a BIMSTEC FTA. I mean, the work is yet to begin, so let alone failing. But we should seriously consider easing our trade. And as I mentioned, that we have a $10 to $12 billion bilateral trade volume, but it's hugely in favor of India, and we could use that Northeast that will facilitate India and reach the product and services to those people who are in need and looking forward, and or the buyer of those products and services. And in a way that will balance out the trade to some extent, for sure. So yeah, I mean, we need to cooperate more, and we need to start delivering. This is the time. This is the Asian century, we call it, and obviously, it's India is a huge player, and will be even more stronger and larger player in next one decade. And we do believe so. Yeah, but I agree with Mr. General Ramesh Chopra that we should cooperate more in using this regional platform. And it's very much in our foreign policy. I mean, some of the initiative that you made, I'm not sure whether you took good note of it, but I said bold initiative of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. How it was a humongous domestic challenge and huge political risk that she took when some of your retired ambassador high commissioners can recall those days when transit was such a sensitive word. If you uttered that very word transit in a meeting or discussions, suddenly there'll be people who will be jump off the chair and start screaming or shouting or opposing. But she made it look so easy, and you have multiple way to travel to Bangladesh back and forth. And you mentioned about Bhutan, taking going Bangladeshi trucks that entering to Bhutan. So we need to take such bold initiative little more frequently, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. General Chopra also points out that he is a veteran of that liberation war. So that's something. Since you mentioned about the liberation, and I see General Vij here, the former chief of the Indian Army, maybe he would like to make a comment.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, in 71, I was a young officer. Actually, I still remember when we were deployed, hearing Sheikh Mujibur Rahman giving a very rousing speech. And I tell you, though I didn't understand half of it because it was in Bangla, but most of it you could pick up. It was so motivating to hear him, and one knew that Bangladesh was on the path to liberation very soon, and they were ready to make any sacrifices. We were also aware of the kind of deep involvement which our Mukti Bahini and them together had in that area. And later on in life, as one grew, one had the opportunity to receive the Bangladesh chief also in India as a part of the VIF delegation, which the Honorable Minister has mentioned. We went. Jan Sani is here. We were part of that group, and some more of us who went. And it was so good to be in that country and see the spontaneity of bondage and brotherhood between the two countries. And he's very right that the relationship between the two countries have grown between the countries on the political side and also among the armed forces. We have a very good understanding. And I think later on, I commanded a corps which did, so did Jansani, 4 corps which participated in that Bangladesh liberation war very intimately. Actually, they were one of the major thrust lines. So I think we have so much to share with them. And I must also compliment them for one specific thing, for honoring the contribution of the soldiers, Indian Army soldiers, with them during their liberation struggle. And I think it is a very marvelous thing to remember the contribution of other countries, and for which one must give them full marks and pay them all the compliments for being so sort of acknowledging of the contribution of India in their liberation war. And in any case, our relationships go back to centuries. We've been one country at once upon a time. So that kind of a spontaneity is perhaps automatic if one may give any importance to these things. Thank you.
I think this was very gracious of the minister to have mentioned the sacrifices made by the Indian soldiers.
Yes.
Maybe General Sani, I can see nostalgia on your face also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Excellency. I think it was absolutely an honor and a pleasure to have visited you and met you in your office. And one was absolutely carried away by the spontaneous welcome we got, and to see a very vibrant country in Bangladesh. Actually, if you seriously ask me, one feels very comfortable when you go to Bangladesh. It is seldom that you find that you have got so much in common with each other. But as you very correctly mentioned, fought together for a noble cause, and we have. And what is so wonderful is that we are now cooperating with each other to achieve the economic sort of a development. And I think, despite the problems, so many tremendous problems have been solved. That in itself, which one thought would never be solved, but they were done in last about 5-6 years, and under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. So that's a very, very positive type of a thing happening. And I'm very sure that the future is very bright. And in conjunction with India and Bangladesh, other countries also around us, we would be able to continue to achieve the greater paths of economic and development goals. Thank you so much, Excellency.
Excellency, you wanted to hear from the Indian strategy community. I can see Ambassador Satish Chandra, who is a veteran of India-Bangladesh relations, having served there in the 80s, and Ambassador Veena Sikri, she's also here. Maybe briefly they would like to say something. Ambassador Satish Chandra.
Thank you, Arvind. First, I'd like to thank the Honorable Minister for a very good presentation that he made. And I'd briefly like to say that for me, this is a particular delight to see the upturn in India-Bangladesh ties. And I think a lot of this credit must go to Sheikh Hasina, the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, because as the Minister said, she took a path which many other leaders in Bangladesh did not do. And the results of that are there for people in both our countries to see. I saw your liberation struggle from Karachi. I was posted in Pakistan from 1969 to 71 in Karachi. And through 71, I was observing the terrible atrocities that were committed in then East Pakistan. And I was getting constant reportage from some of the media personnel who were there, foreign media personnel. And then I happened to be in Bangladesh as Deputy High Commissioner during General Ershad's time. This was the period of 1981 to 84. And it was not an easy time for Indian diplomats in Bangladesh at that point in time. There was, however, one difference always between Pakistan and Bangladesh. And that is that even in the worst of times in Bangladesh, and I think I was there at a pretty bad time, the social relationship and the cultural relationship was very, very strong. And interactions with local people in Bangladesh, the elite, the business community, cultural community, media, was always very, very good. Though politically the relationship was bad. But as I say, I think leaderships in both our countries took the initiative over the last decade or so to make a great strategic shift in the relationship. And today, as Arvind has said, this is a golden chapter in our relationship. And I think the path is there now to take it on the upward trajectory further up. And it is eminently doable. I'd just like to make a quick comment on what you were referring to, Mr. Minister, on the trade side and having a block Well, we all know, and I don't have to go into that, why SAARC has not been able to deliver. It's one country which has blocked this. But here I would not be overly dejected or disappointed because I think our other countries have tried to work out a path to overcome that difficulty, not only bilaterally, but also through other groupings. You mentioned BIMSTEC is there, but there are trilateral groupings as well. And I think in the area of trade particularly, we can think about, and I think this is a challenge for our leaderships, and I'm sure they will be looking at it, is that you make your own groupings and have arrangements so that you have ease of doing business with each other and having much better cooperation. It is eminently doable, and I think we need to work in that direction. Of course, the bilateral relationship, as I say, is on the up and up, and it will continue in that direction with the leaderships, particularly in both our countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I return to the Minister, maybe Ambassador Veena Sikri would like to make a comment. I think we have lost her, perhaps. Oh. Yes, are you there, Veena ji? Unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
yes, please. Yes, please.
Sorry, it got disconnected for a bit. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, Arvind. And I would like to really welcome Honorable Minister of State from Bangladesh, His Excellency Muhammad Shahriar Alam, and thank him for his very, very straightforward, strong, and very pointed statement, which has given a very strong message to all of us. And I think that I would like to add my words of praise and appreciation to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, to what Ambassador Satish Chandra just said, that really it is her leadership over the last since 2009, actually, which is now 11 years, going on for 12 years. And it's really been a leadership that has been consistent, based on statesmanship, and has carried Bangladesh to great successes in the economic sector, but also carried the bilateral relationship to tremendously new heights and put us now in this golden phase of our relationship. And I think that it is absolutely correct what the Honorable Minister has said, that in areas like transit and connectivity, I know the time when I was there, these were really nasty words. You couldn't even talk about it. But now it's actually happening on the ground, and this is really tremendous. This has really been a great progress. But as always, as the Minister himself said, that we have to look ahead and we have to see as to what we can do in the coming years to build on the tremendously strong basis of India-Bangladesh cooperation that has been set in the last few years by the excellent cooperation between Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And as we look ahead, I think it's a golden opportunity that we are now preparing for the visit of Honorable Prime Minister of India to Bangladesh in the month of March, just 2 months from now. We have to look at the areas that we could possibly focus on. I think some of these areas were actually indicated by the Honorable Minister, and some of the points mentioned by Ambassador Satish Chandra. Let me just go in a little bit in detail on some of them. Honorable Minister mentioned the area of trade. And certainly, I think while there has been tremendous progress and we've crossed $10 billion landmark in our trade, but it is, of course, in India's favor. I think there are two ways of looking at it. One is, of course, I think that we have to recognize that while it is in India's favor. The goods that are being exported to Bangladesh are those which are actually being used by Bangladesh for their own export industries, especially ready-made garments. If you took off raw materials or machinery for the textile industry, a lot of these are inputs. But leave that aside, I agree that we should look at new areas and possibilities for increasing Bangladesh's exports. Honorable Minister himself mentioned access to the Northeast for Bangladesh and mentioned that this would give a real boost to Bangladesh exports. And I think this is very true. And I think this was being talked about even at the time when I was there, almost 15 years ago. And I remember at that time, the Chittagong Chamber of Commerce and Industry had prepared actually an excellent study on this and how access to the Northeast would help. So I think that as we prepare for Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bangladesh, we could perhaps get that proposal out and actually put it on the table. And maybe we can actually have a breakthrough in this area when we have the visit of Honorable Prime Minister Modi. So that is one suggestion that I would make, that we could talk about it in terms of specific proposals, so that actually the idea that we have been talking about for all these years can be implemented through the bilateral government-to-government cooperation. Similarly, Honorable Minister mentioned about cooperation in the blue economy. I think this is another very, very important area of cooperation because both for India and Bangladesh, of course, the Bay of Bengal is our shared area. We've already solved the maritime boundary issue. So now is the time to cooperate. Again, this is an area that since the maritime boundary issue was solved, there's been a lot of talk about it, about the blue economy. I think there was a big conference also held in Bangladesh on the blue economy. But in terms of bilateral cooperation for strengthening the blue economy cooperation, this has not seen the light of day. We have not really come up with proposals for this. So I think here is another second area that would be very valuable that we should work on and maybe come up with something that can be agreed upon and finalized by the time of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bangladesh in March. The third area I would like to talk about is the area of cooperation between the academia of India and Bangladesh. And I know that in the area of students' cooperation, there are a lot of scholarships being given to Bangladesh students. They're coming to India, they go back to their own country, they join various organizations. But I think in the terms of a sustainable academic cooperation, which would mean like joint studies, joint research, this has not really happened. I know that when I was in Jamia Millia Islamia, I actually signed an MOU between Jamia Millia Islamia and Dhaka University. And at that time, when the MOU was signed, there was a lot of cooperation. We did have, programs of meetings. Students from Bangladesh came for seminars. The Masters in International Relations students, when they come on their annual tour, we invited them to Jamia. We had seminars. And now in India, there's a program also to continue this, to set up units of excellence for study of Bangladesh in India. And I understand that Delhi University is going to be setting up the first such unit on Bangladesh to study Bangladesh very soon. So I think here it is. We should, again, this is one area which we can finalize and put into practice by the time Prime Minister Modi goes to Dhaka in March. And I hope that we will actually be able to we'll be actually able to put this together and come up with some specific, because this is a very big lacuna that among the youth, among the people who talk about politics all the time, who are deeply interested in what is happening between India and Bangladesh, there is no platform for their exchange of views. There's no platform for their working together and seeing together. I remember that when I was in Jamia, I did a program which worked very well. We got students from Bangladesh and India, masters and PhD students, people working for the first time, and it worked very well. So I think we should work on this academic area. The other fourth area I'd like to mention is the one of the strategic dialogue that was mentioned, I think, by some of our colleagues and also mentioned by the Honorable Minister. I think Bangladesh and India need to formalize a very strong strategic dialogue, maybe track one, of course, government to government, but maybe also track 1.5 or 2, because this is important. I think there are a whole range of issues, and this includes very sensitive issues like Pakistan, like China, what is happening on China, what are our different perspectives on whether it's the Belt and Road Initiative, whether it is other aspects. I think there needs to be a forum for exchange of views in a very straightforward Chatham House manner that we can then, understand each other better. There is also the area of defense cooperation, I think, that was mentioned by General Ramesh Chopra also in his comments. We should be able to, again, something we should be able to talk about, maybe in a 1.5 or 2 track, and come up with agreement on. These are some of the areas I think that are of interest to both sides. I think on BBIN, there was a great progress in the beginning, and now it's sort of faded away. I think this is where we should do something, even if there are delays by one country or so because of movement of trucks. We should go ahead with the other 3. And say between Nepal, Bangladesh, and India, we should go ahead with the movement of trains, of trucks or vehicles, of trade, so that at least we are able to show that sub-regional cooperation. If SARC is not working, BBIN is very much a sub-regional cooperation project in SARC, and that is working. So I think these are some of the ideas that I'd like to put on the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Veena-ji. So, His Excellency Muhammad Shahriar ji, would you like to comment on what you have just heard? I have a few more comments in the chat box, which I'll come later.
Fascinating to listen. It's absolutely fascinating to listen to the senior member of Vivekananda Foundation who visited Bangladesh, who fought for Bangladesh, laid down their lives and their colleagues. And I was listening to Mr. NC, and I was actually about to ask him that, when I spoke to VK Singh ji, he's now a minister, he picked up Bangla pretty well, and I asked him, where did you learn? And he said he actually fought in Chittagong, and he still speaks Bangla and probably kept practicing it, I don't know, even in Delhi or whenever he goes to his constituency. But on a much more serious note, whatever we have done in 2013, 2012, and also in recent times, and we'll make an effort to continue that culture of recognizing those valiant freedom fighters who fought for us. But this is, least we could do. These efforts are priceless, and we value that. And one of the major objective is probably also its underlying one. It's my personal opinion, who represents a different generation, is to connect the younger generation with the history. Unless we revisit these chapters of the history, whatever has happened in 1975 and then up until 1996, when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina became Prime Minister for the first time, history was running backwards, completely different version and all that. Enemies were interfering in our internal affairs, influencing elections, and so on and so forth. All that, or especially Mr. Satish Chandra, who served here. Veena ji obviously knows these dark chapter of our history very well. So what I would only request is that please continue to make an effort. I'm sure you love to see that Bangladesh is prospering. You love to see that Bangladesh is on the right track, doing the right thing under a strong leadership. And this is what you also fought for. But anyways, talking about future and present, we obviously had this summit, virtual summit in December, and then again, a physical one proposed, and it's happening even during this pandemic in March. So this frequency of the meeting, some of you suggested to host this strategic dialogue and so on and so forth. But as I mentioned obviously that's important, and there's absolutely no disagreement with that. But we have as many as 19 bilateral instruments signed between these two countries, and many more is in the pipeline. But the high-level visits, exchanges, as we speak today, we have our foreign secretary, who is a senior secretary of the government, is actually visiting Agartala, Feni, and those bordering areas as a preparation of his meeting with his counterpart in Delhi next week or week after for the preparation of the summit. So this is, that's how seriously we take any possible meetings and, use that as an opportunity. And we'll continue to do that. And, with the experiences that you have, and, you also need to, I would insist that you also leverage your influence with the bureaucracy, not just in India, but your connections in Bangladesh, to give further impetus, momentum, because we have all in this process, we see achievements in one side, and what happens is that people's aspiration becomes even larger and bigger. They want more, much more. They would come and tell us, you have this fantastic relationship with India. If that is true or so, why can't you do this or do that? That's what people talk about in all these talk shows in the evening, or reporters or editorials will be written if there is another bullet is shot at a Bangladeshi trader or infiltrator, or whoever, whatever that is, even if it is an illegal efforts to cross the border for whatever reason. So anyway, we managing people's aspiration is also a challenge, because the delivery that we have made together in last 12 years or so, since 2008, has made people even more ambitious. And that's why I'm not sure how many visas there's Vina Sikri's office used to issue during those days. But, you can ask Vikram Dhiraswamy. And I know for sure for last quite a few years now, the Dhaka Indian High Commission Visa Center issues by far the highest number of visas in the world. And that makes the Bangladeshi tourist, makes the number 2.2 million, surpassing the highest number that used to be a couple of years ago of United States of America, and that was 1.5 million. So we have surpassed that. Managing this is also a challenge at times. So anyways, it's not a particular comment, I just brought another issue on the table here. Thank you.
Yes, management of aspirations on both sides is always a problem, but that's okay, because you have managed it very well so far, and I'm sure things will become better. Now, if you allow me, I'll quickly summarize a few questions which are already there in the chat box. And one question is about what is the state of counterterrorism cooperation between our two countries? That is one question. The other question is about the Rohingya crisis, how India and Bangladesh can cooperate. One question is about what is your view of the Quad? And another question is about what is the state of relationship between Dhaka and Beijing? And there is one question about your views, whether there can be a common power grid between the countries producing hydroelectricity. So these are 4 or 5 questions from our audience.
We have a brilliant, cooperation in terms of countering terrorism. Our operators and law enforcing agencies in the border are also inland, the intelligence share, they are in real-time communication and cooperation. We have carried out joint patrol. Even I can't go into too much detail, but obviously there's always room for further improvement. But the very peace in your northeast is a testimony, and that's what we have achieved in last couple of years. But also the rise of fundamentalism, in recent years. Obviously, we had to make special efforts, and I think the list of successes is quite long, and we'll continue to do that. So that's it's an ever evolving scenario as well. Terrorism. Bangladesh, obviously, the zero tolerance policy to terrorism of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. It's not just a policy, that has been translated into real action in real time, and that's paid off. I'm sure you'd admit, even though we had this incident of holy artisan quite a few years ago, but I wouldn't say that was just a one-off effort, but there were multiple other efforts. Those were unearthed, detected, and dealt with and at a cost as well, by the law enforcing agencies. Rohingya, obviously, we have received assurances time and again from India, but honestly speaking, it's a track 2 or 1.5 platform, but we struggle to make people understand, our constituents or the citizens, when in international forum, everyone has the right, and we have been given the logic and explanation, but we find it difficult to make our people understand when India chooses to abstain from voting against Myanmar. I know obviously a neutral role plays an important part when you want to mediate and negotiate with both the countries. So it is that's what we have been told by your bureaucrats. But anyways, we are cooperating. Obviously, apart from the very exodus and the job in hand, the humongous job of starting the repatriation of 1 million, and just to give an example how difficult this could potentially be, that out of that 1 million, we have almost 300,000 who are actually living in Bangladesh for last 3 decades and a half. So we are yet to start. But this is causing headaches to the law enforcing agencies because there are real threats. And if you could recall the triangle, where Bangladesh, India, and Myanmar shares that border down south, Mizoram, and kind of northern Rakhine and southern Bangladesh in the hill tracts areas. Those are very vulnerable spots and areas, and potentially that could expose India as well. So it's very important that we cooperate, and we are cooperating. Anyways, so that's that. Obviously, I know our relationship with Beijing is a matter of huge interest to India and everyone else. And we actually explained, and I remember a couple of years ago, our immediate past foreign secretary visited Delhi and delivered a speech where he explained our engagement in BRI. We see that as an economic cooperation initiative. We are not committed into any defense or military initiatives, and we haven't found any yet. And we see many other countries in Europe even and in the neighborhood has joined. And obviously, you have seen us, when we are asked a similar question, very rare though, because they know the depth and breadth of our relationship with India and the historic bondage. It's the bondage that delivered, and the very creation and independence of Bangladesh, when the bloods of soldiers of both the countries were shed, and that's inseparable. That's not comparable with any other relationship whatsoever. But our engagement with Beijing has paid dividend, some dividend in recent times in terms of infrastructure and building facilities that is helping our economic progression. And we have built capacities. Let's say some of the roads that we are building, talking about transit, or allowing use of Chittagong Port or Mongla Port, and then on to somewhere north or northeast when Chittagong is connected with Dhaka. The roads and bridge that we have built with the Chinese finances is also helping our cause as well, India and Bangladesh's. But even though no one asked me this, but I will volunteer to address this. We are under no risk whatsoever of debt trap. Our economic fundamentals are strong, and sometime the numbers, those are given in press and media. So as a research organization, if someone could dig little deeper to know exactly how much was spent or delivered during commitments and meetings, you can commit hundreds of billions of dollars, and that those numbers are obviously gives you the optics when some meeting takes place. But we know what we are doing. Let me put it this way simply. We know exactly what we are doing here. A common power grid. In fact, I don't know who actually asked that, but it was one of the major agenda item of the last SAARC summit in Kathmandu. And where we left was that the countries will go back. There was a time frame was given that each country will review and submit, or kind of will ultimately give their consent to have a common power grid for entire SAARC region. But unfortunately, that got stalled. But again, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's bold initiative, it's probably even before we started buying electricity from India, we paved the way for transportation of equipment to set up a power plant in Tripura, and that's done, completed. It's in operation, and we are buying probably 50 or 100 megawatt of electricity from that power plant. But we allowed India to use our land and our grid so that you could transport electricity from north west of Bangladesh, let's say West Bengal. Then you could transfer it to the east or eastern states of India through a particular point. It's called Parbatipur in Dinajpur. It's in northern Bangladesh. It's next to your Dinajpur actually. It's our Dinajpur. Just to explain the geographical location of it. So we are heading towards it, and also we have received consent from India to set up a hydro electric power plant in Nepal. We also have a proposal for Bhutan. So it will be a tripartite agreement. Bangladesh will be investing, as well as, in case of Nepal, it's Nepal. In case of Bhutan, it's Bhutan. So we would be requiring India's support to transport that electricity, and also Indian company will be investing, or they are welcome to invest, and they can buy electricity, and hydro being one of the cheapest, and is accessible for all. So yeah, I think we are heading towards, wherever possible, we are trying to use a common vehicle or common grid. So the work has begun, and we have 2-3 examples where in the bordering areas we are doing that already. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think there's no more questions in the chat box. So I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for being with us this afternoon, and giving a wonderful speech and taking all the questions so well. I think the takeaway for me is that India-Bangladesh relation potential is immense. And what is heartening to see is that new models of cooperation are being thought about, being talked about, and there is a great deal of discussion happening at the official levels. And we look forward to Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bangladesh. And I think these are the ties which go back, which have been where our soldiers have really shed blood, and so they are very strong ties. And it was very touching to hear the references in your speech to the sacrifices made by the Indian soldiers. So I think the foundations of our relationship is very strong. So though there can be some momentary issues, that is always there amongst neighbors. I think India's neighborhood first policy is also very different from the way India used to approach neighbors earlier. So we are seeing the positive results. So the India-Bangladesh relationship is being transformed. And it is not just India-Bangladesh relationship, but I think our relationship with the rest of the neighborhood also. Of course, Pakistan is an exception. And this will have a positive India-Bangladesh relationship will have also a positive impact on regional integration and regional cooperation. And I think we hope to make BIMSTEC a success. But Minister, your efforts are very much appreciated and applauded in India. Thank you very much for being with us, and we do hope that we can continue our exchange of dialogues and make it a strategic exchange in the forthcoming future meetings. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Namaskar.
सर्वे भवन्तु सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।